seek that documentation out, and if we have to pay for the documentation, then we, I don't know what their cost per sheet would be, but I would say not to exceed $1,000. Anybody like?
If you
I'll second
amend, if you amend that, I would second it. I think that they're specific to Mr. Eddy's appeal, that we need to add the point that we need to compel Mr. Roof to produce what he had taken copies of, because it was clearly referenced and it was clearly witnessed.
I think there could be another motion to send Mr. Roof a letter from the Board of Trustees. And upon send, so
Yeah,
let's piecemeal
You have 3
this.
yeses right now and 1 no. So if you, even with the
Yeah.
1 no, if trustee DeShano knows for a fact that Gary has this information, then
I will be making one
You can
more
put that
motion,
in.
but this would, oh, can I add that to it?
I would just do a new motion. Keep
Okay.
it clean, keep them
I'll
separate.
second that motion of
Oh,
Charlie's. We'll do a roll call vote.
Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
maybe? No.
You know, it gets so confused when you have that much crosstalk from the time of the motion. Could you reread the motion?
If only I could. I was hoping to get it off the tape.
I'm sure it
It's
agrees
something
with
like,
you.
seek documentation from Spicer to fulfill the Eddie FOIA, not to exceed $1,000. Something
Right.
on that order. Is that,
And if we're,
2015, yeah.
if we're gonna be specific, it's regarding the definition for salvage yard, and it can't be that expensive to get that
no, that
information.
was not in there.
But the other stuff was the paperwork that was given, because the supporting documents for that other FOIA wasn't even, that'll make it.
It's convoluted.
That should be what it's about.
So,
So you need to finish the vote.
Yeah, okay. Well, all right, we did. Okay, class.
Yes.
Davison,
Yes.
and you're still yes? Lori?
I think so.
Okay.
okay. I then make a motion that the Board of Trustees sends a letter to the co-chair of the Planning Commission, Gary Roof, compelling him to produce any documents he has in reference to salvage yard definitions or junkyard definitions, and just so I get this, I don't want to miss something here. Because this, to get this right, his definitions that he may have gotten from Spicer, or whatever that source may be. Is that what we're,
I think we're getting off task. This FOIA is for communications between Gary and Spicer.
that's what I'm making sure I'm requesting it to be specific to. This, the communication is to compel him for any and all communications that took place, even if it's as simple as a text message
As well as
Gary Ripe and Spicer.
or written documentation from Spicer regarding,
Would you like to start that from the beginning, word for word, so
I'll say that, that's not
No,
an
it's a letter
issue.
to compel him to provide.
I,
Item A.
Compel the necessary documentation regarding salvage yard or,
board sends a letter to
Junkyard.
Roof compelling him to produce documentation from Spicer with definition between junkyard, salvage yard,
That's it.
period.
You got it.
Well, one sec.
Okay.
I'm just double checking the language on it.
definitions and sharing.
So, according to the language of the appeal, even though the whole thing was what Mr. Roof had, but the language of the appeal is what's before us. The language of the appeal is what's before us. And the appeal does explicitly state any communications not only with Gary Roof and Spicer, but also between Gary Roof and Mr. Evil, including any text messages, emails, cell phone date and times of calls with notes included. That's actually what's highlighted in this appeal. I want to make sure that that doesn't get lost. If we're going to address a FOIA appeal at this table, we have to make sure that we're actually addressing what was appealed.
But if it wasn't on the FOIA, then how can you?
No, it's on the
It's
original.
on the FOIA, yeah.
Yeah, the difference is attorney-client privilege covers everything between myself and everybody at this table, and planning commission table. So,
That's not what you told me.
when did I tell you that? Since
In
we
the
haven't,
hallway right here.
since we haven't spoken in months.
We spoke in this hallway after a meeting. It was really pleasant. So you actually told me that even though it's on there, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a vote. That's what you told me. You said that the board would have to address that situation. So right now, the board is addressing that situation.
And if the board would
So-
like to waive confidentiality, then you definitely have the right to do that as a board.
So
But
the
once you
num-
waive confidentiality, you can't unwaive confidentiality.
Well, this is specific to you having a discussion with the vice chair of the planning commission.
Yeah, which I
So-
haven't, but I mean,
Well-
I can provide nothing to you guys if you like.
I'm just wanting to make sure we're addressing the appeal that is before us as a board.
And keep in mind, FOIA is for a document or a record.
We
I
we
understand
already
that.
addressed the appeal. We did address the
Yeah,
appeal.
this is a letter to Mr. Roof.
I understand.
We addressed the appeal that Sherry answered the appeal correctly, that she does not have the information. So we've technically addressed the appeal. What we're doing right now is just, he wanted the motion for.
We're finishing the housekeeping
Right,
to make sure that if this person's saying there's absolutely nothing,
right.
and it comes out that there's something, there will be a consequence.
Well, we're not discussing the consequence. We're
No.
discussing that we're going to request that that information exists. So that's all we got, is a motion to request that information from Mr. Roof.
So I made a motion, did anybody second it?
I'll second it. I'll write the letter.
DeShano?
Yes.
Class?
Yes.
Davidson?
Yes?
Campbell?
Yes.
All righty. Are we ready to move on? So on 24 North Kaiser Tower Road.
We didn't
What about the
move
second
on
one?
to the second appeal.
Oh, yeah. Well, at this particular moment, I am going to have to answer, I will make a motion that I agree that Sherry does not have the 18 boxes of documents for this FOIA request. So I agree with the answer she gave.
I'll second.
Okay, Class?
Yes.
Davidson?
Yes?
Campbell?
Yes.
DeShano?
Yes.
And
I would, are we doing a follow-up motion on this? Because if you're not, I will.
then, go ahead.
I make a motion that an investigation takes place into how exactly this happened, because there was not a vote to destroy these. There was only a vote to have them copied. And however this went wrong, we are now missing, apparently, historical documentation of our township that was never meant to be destroyed. So wherever that ball was dropped, we need to determine how that happened to prevent such a thing from happening again. So, I will make a motion that we have an investigation and that a report is brought back to the board in a board meeting as to exactly what happened.
I'll second it. Like I said, I've already got a request in. They just haven't answered me yet.
Davidson,
Yes?
Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano,
Yes.
Class.
Yes.
Okay. So, back in 2014, the water was turned off at 24 North Kaiser Tower Road because it was a vacant lot. I think the house was torn down.
Mhm.
And the two lots were combined.
And then the two lots were combined, 24 North Kaiser Tower and 518 West Center Street in Linwood.
Mhm.
And obviously, when the water was turned off, but the sewer wasn't. So the quarterly report for the sewer has been going on, and I got an update from this letter that is $114.40. So,
So I have a question about how this billing actually happens, because when you have a sewer hookup, you pay the tap, for lack of, that's kind of gross, but you pay the tap, and you have accessibility at the road, and then the individual is responsible for actually plumbing that in, right, from the house to the actual sewer tap. So, if the sewer tap still exists, and in this letter it says that we can't actually confirm that anything was capped, right? Technically, the availability is still there. So if we have somebody in our township that has connected and has tapped into the sewer, but still has septic and doesn't actually need to connect into the sewer yet, they're still being charged that fee, right? They're still being charged that fee even though they're not accessing the sewer. So if the availability is there, just like it is for people that live in their home and don't use it, how is this any different? That line is still there, it's still tapped, it's still available should they want to connect to it.
it is capped.
Where is the line?
It is capped.
It says I do not have any information verifying that the lines have been
It
capped.
says Kaiser Tower Road had been demolished and water and sewer lines capped in 2016 or 17.
I don't have any verifying information.
That the lines have been capped. So they could be tapped right in and connected and we wouldn't know any difference. Do we know that the lines from
Were
the
terminated?
previous dwelling or whatever it was were taken out? Were they pulled out of the ground? Because they could still be connected up and getting free sewer usage and we wouldn't know any difference at this point, should
They're
they
not
choose to
connected
do
to
that.
anything. That lot's been empty for 5 years. There's nothing connected.
I understand, but I wanna understand it. I wanna understand, is it one line per parcel that we're charging? I mean, and once you tap in, right? So if you have multiple sewer taps, but you decide to combine those parcels, then you only really have to pay for one even though you have the availability of all of them? Is that how that works?
You would, well, first of all, sewer is only monitored by water usage.
Right, I understand that.
So if the house is gone and there's no water usage on the water line, this $26 is for the maintenance of the
Right.
sewer line.
So how is that different than somebody that has a tap but doesn't use it, still being charged for that? There's nothing going through their line. They may be paying for water, but it's going into their septic. It's never entering the sewer, yet they're still paying that charge
If
too.
they're hooked to the sewer line, well, it ain't going into their septic.
No, I'm saying if they have a tap. If they have an existing tap they're not using in case they need it in the future, say, right? But they're still going to
There's no tap-
septic?
There was no tap and a sewer line. If you have a tap, you hook the house to the sewer, and you would pay from the water bill.
That's not the
That's not
case.
true.
I
Right
know
on
people that
M13, there's a house
absolutely,
that's exact
yes,
opposite.
that has a tap that
Septic
is not
tank in
being
the
used
backyard.
for future use, if it was ever needed, but it's never been plumbed to the house, and they're being charged this exact fee every quarter. So how does that even out, is my question? You know,
Well,
where do we
he
draw the
put the
line?
tap in for future use. This guy tore the house down
For
and
no
combined the lots, So.
But if one's paying and the other one isn't, how do we balance that? That's my question. If you are paying just to have it sitting there in case you need it in the future, you're not using it any more than this guy is. I just want to make sure that I understand this full situation here. If we're going to say he doesn't have to pay it anymore, but we're going to continue to charge other people that have
So
essentially
who
the same
paid for a
situation.
tap that hasn't tapped on yet?
I can talk to you about that after the meeting, and I can talk to you about that in a public meeting.
We are talking to you in a public meeting.
I said
The
I
names
will
are
talk to
protected,
you
they're
after the
protected, so.
meeting, not in a public meeting.
So what do you wanna do with the $114? Just keep it going?
Did this actually originate from the water department, or, because
Yes,
it
but
seems like it
They
did.
found that, actually, 24 North Kaiser Tower Road is a vacant lot and
Yeah.
actually doesn't exist anymore because they combined it with lot 518 of West Center Street. So it's combined all into one lot. So there's a sewer bill and a water bill on 518, and they haven't charged any water, so there's been no sewer bill charged to this. This is the bill to maintain the sewer line, the extra 20
The sewer debt.
sewer debt, yeah, to relieve the sewer debt. For lot 24 North Kaiser Tower. This has nothing to do with the water and sewer on 518 West Center.
My biggest question is if it was properly terminated, because even the DEQ, when you terminate use of stuff, wants to make sure it was properly terminated. Because if you don't know,
And, I mean, consumers is the same way. If you still have, a meter, even though you're not using any power, they're
I
still
would
going to charge
say
you for having it there, so you
they
have
can
to
show who the
charge.
plumber is that properly terminated this, then make a motion.
Cap it?
Yeah. Because I know when we stopped using certain things at a property on Wilder Road, the DEQ came out to make sure it was done right.
So you made reference to a motion. Is it your motion to approve it subject to receipt and satisfactory review of?
Who said it was, who terminated it?
Okay.
Because it would be odd if the Department of Water and Sewer is the one that's supposed to do the termination of water and sewer, then
They should have
they
records.
should have some kind of document of this, and if they don't, then who's the plumber that supposedly terminated this? If that's the case, and there's no doubt that somebody properly terminated it, so we don't have an issue with the sewer line and time,
So are you making that motion?
that's the motion I'm making.
Okay.
So he's making a motion then to,
Confirm it's terminated, and upon confirmation that it was properly terminated,
forgive this
And then you
debt
forgive that.
and close this account.
close it.
Roll call.
I'll have a second.
I'll second it.
Campbell,
Yes to what I just said.
does Shay know?
Yes.
Flash?
Yes.
Davidson?
Yes. So then, 1443 South Mackinac Road, this house has been demolished. And we need to approve taking the trash off this particular address for next year. 14, what number? Did I write the wrong number down?
It says 1441 here. Oh, 1433 here.
1433.
The actual property address is 1433,
1433.
and the mailing address is 1441.
So it's 33, it's 1433. The building has been removed, and we would like to remove the trash bill from, it would be next year's bill, right?
24, 25.
It would be next year's bill.
Yeah.
because they're already
Here,
paid
you
for
can
this
vote.
year. In February bill.
So, we'll make a motion for the 24-25 tax year to remove $194 from 1433 Mackinac Road. Property number 080-015-300-060-13.
I'll second it.
DeShano,
Yes.
Class,
Yes.
Davidson,
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
So, Bay Metro Transit is requesting to use, they requested to use the hall the third Wednesday of each month for approximately an hour and a half for, I thought it was
6 months.
6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6 months.
They have a meeting on the third Wednesday of each month, and their office is being refurbished. And to hold that meeting, because they're in separate little trailers right now for offices, to hold the meeting, they're asking to use the hall the third Wednesday of each month for an hour and a half between 3:30 and 4:45, beginning in May.
It's a really large venue for 9 people. That's a really large venue for 9 people.
Well, I'm saying that they could actually use this boardroom
That's
if
kind
we
of what-
wanted to.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking. It seems silly to heat that thing up for 9 people. This is plenty large enough. As long as everybody's okay
Well,
with that.
9
it
people
makes
and
more sense.
approximately 4 staff, so it'd be 13 people, but yes, I think this would be,
Over there.
so. I would make a motion that yes, we allow them to do it, and we recommend that they use our boardroom for that
Board meeting.
board meeting for 13 people on the third Wednesday, and we'll put it right in the book, or we'll put it someplace so we don't forget it.
For the duration of the remodeling, because if the remodeling goes from 6 months to 8 months, we don't want to have to revisit this.
Okay. For the duration of their remodeling for Bay Metro Transit. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those, we ain't gonna charge them, are we?
I mean, if they're just using this.
They're gonna use this room?
Yeah.
But we'll put it in the motion and make sure it's a roll call.
Okay, there won't be any charge. I'll put it in the motion. Do you put it in your second?
My second says we will provide that
Free of charge.
gratis.
So now it's a roll call vote.
Class,
Yes.
Davidson,
Yes?
Campbell,
Yes.
DeShano.
Yes.
All right, last but not least, we've talked a couple times, and we got this apology, or this thank you from the scenic group there up in Linwood. But I've checked with our accountant, and she says it's going to be bad to take that $60,000 that we gave them out of ARPA money. It should come out of the general fund, because we have to account the ARPA money with the state. And to give $60,000 of Calcullen's ARPA money to Fraser Township for the scenic park is not something that's gonna be easy to get passed through the,
It's not going directly to Fraser Township. I mean, there was never a motion for it to go to Fraser Township. It was to go toward the project.
it is going towards the project, but the project, 90% of the project sits in Fraser Township,
Because they were the ones that got the grants.
because they're on that side of Half Island Road. So she's only recommending that we not take the $60,000 away from them, but just take it out of the general fund, rather than saying you're taking it out of the ARPA money. So,
I'm gonna make a motion that we take $60,000 out of the general fund.
well, we have to say that we have to take this motion